Am I the a-hole for ruining my brother's wedding after finding out disturbing things about him at his bachelor party? I have never been very close to my older brother, Ryan. Growing up, we were opposites. He was the golden child, popular, athletic, charming. I was the quiet, awkward kid who spent more time in the library than at parties. Our relationship was never hostile, just distant. We barely talked unless it was at family events. When Ryan got engaged to Emily, I was surprised when he invited me to his bachelor party. I figured it was his way of trying to bridge the gap before his wedding. I almost didn't go, but my girlfriend convinced me it might be a good chance to reconnect. The party started out normal enough: drinks, music, a rented house in the mountains. But as the night went on and people got drunker, things got weird. Ryan's friends started joking about the old days and brought up stories I'd never heard before. At first I thought they were just exaggerating, stupid teenage antics, but then they mentioned Ryan and a few of them had run a scam in college where they sold fake IDs and laundered the money through a friend's business. One of his friends laughingly said, "Remember that girl in sophomore year? The one who kept threatening to go to the cops. You handled that shit so cleanly, bro." Ryan just smirked and said, "Loose ends, man. I don't leave them." They joked about clients Ryan still meets occasionally to clean up messes for extra cash. It was like the alcohol made them forget I was there. Or maybe they assumed I wouldn't care. But I sat there frozen as realization hit. My brother wasn't just a golden boy. He was involved in seriously shady, possibly criminal stuff. Then one of his friends, drunk out of his mind, turned to Ryan and said, "Does Emily even know what kind of guy she's marrying? Or are you gonna keep her in the dark like all the others?" Ryan just laughed. "She's smart enough to stay out of my business. If not, well, she'll learn." That was my breaking point. I excused myself, locked myself in the upstairs bathroom, and started shaking. Emily was sweet. Every time I saw her at family gatherings, she went out of her way to include me in conversations. She deserved to know. I didn't know what I was doing, I just acted. I found her on Instagram and messaged her. I told her I knew this was insane, but I had to warn her about Ryan. At first she didn't believe me, so I gave her enough details from the bachelor party that she realized I wasn't making it up. I told her I'd help her leave if she wanted to. She didn't respond for an hour. Then she sent, "Can you meet me? Don't tell anyone." Long story short, I met her at a diner that night. She was pale and shaking but said she believed me. She'd had a gut feeling about Ryan for months. She had her passport and a small bag. I bought her a bus ticket to a city across the border where she had an old college friend. I watched her get on the bus at 4 a.m. The next morning was supposed to be the wedding. Ryan was furious. He called everyone, screaming that Emily had vanished. He had no idea I was involved. My family is devastated. My mom keeps crying about how embarrassing it is, and Ryan's been spiraling. I haven't said a word. No one suspects me. But now I can't stop thinking, was I wrong? I blew up a wedding. Maybe I should have gone to the cops instead of taking it into my own hands. Maybe I misinterpreted the bachelor party conversations. What if Ryan was just trying to impress his drunk friends? What if Emily wasn't in danger and I just sabotaged their lives?
Am I the a-hole for sending my son away after finding out my husband was attracted to him? I honestly don't know where to begin, or how to even say this without sounding like the worst mother alive. But I need to get this out because I can't stop replaying everything in my head. I have a 15-year-old son, Dylan, not his real name. His father was never in the picture. He left when I was 4 months pregnant. For 15 years, it's been just me and Dylan. I won't lie, he's the sweetest, smartest, most gentle soul. He's the kind of kid who still hugs me before bed and asks if I've eaten when he sees me stressed. 2 years ago, I met Tom. He was like a dream come true at first, kind, patient, supportive. He treated Dylan well, or so I thought. He'd take him to basketball games, help with his homework, even talk about teaching him how to drive one day. Dylan warmed up to him faster than I expected, and for the first time in years, I felt like we were finally a family. We got married last year. About 6 months into the marriage, I started noticing things. Subtle things, but enough to gnaw at me. Tom would comment on how good-looking Dylan was becoming, in this weird tone. At first it was harmless. He's growing up so fast he's gonna break hearts one day. Then it turned into, you better watch him around older women, he's too pretty for his own good. One night, Dylan came into the living room shirtless because he spilled juice on his t-shirt, and I swear I saw Tom glance at him. Not like a father would. I told myself I was imagining it, but then one night I got up to get water and found Tom standing in the hallway outside Dylan's room. The door was slightly open. Tom jumped when he saw me and said he was just checking to make sure the door was locked because he thought he heard something. The next day, I confronted him. It was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. At first, he denied everything. Then he broke down crying and admitted he had thoughts he was ashamed of about Dylan. He swore up and down he'd never act on them, that it was just his brain being sick, and he'd get help. He begged me not to tell anyone or leave him. I froze. I didn't want to destroy my marriage. I thought maybe therapy would help. Maybe he meant it when he said he'd never hurt Dylan. But I couldn't have my son in the same house as a man who admitted he was attracted to him. So I made a decision I thought was protecting Dylan. I told him his Aunt Kara, 34F, my younger sister, lived in a better school district and had offered to let him stay with her for a while to get ahead academically. Dylan didn't argue much, but I could see in his eyes he didn't understand why I was sending him away so suddenly. At first, I called every day. He seemed okay, but quieter. Then the calls became shorter. Then they stopped altogether unless I called first. Kara told me he was adjusting fine, but she sounded cold. 3 months passed. Last week, I got a call from Dylan's best friend. He said Dylan hasn't been in school for weeks and spends his days at the public library. He was too scared to tell me, but said Kara is making him do all her housework, laundry, dishes, cooking, and screaming at him when he doesn't do it perfectly. She's taken his phone at night, locked him out of the house when she goes out drinking, and even threatened to send him to a group home if he complains. I called Dylan. The second he heard my voice, he broke down crying. He said, "Mom, I feel like you don't want me anymore. Why did you send me away? You picked him over me, didn't you?" I'm shattered. I keep replaying his words. Did I choose a man over my son? Was I trying to protect him, or was I cowardly avoiding confrontation? Tom says he's in therapy now, that he's better, and it's safe for Dylan to come home. Part of me wants to believe him, but the other part is screaming at me to grab Dylan and never look back. I haven't slept in days. I feel like I failed my boy in every way.
Am I the a-hole for helping my students plan a secret party that ended in tragedy? I am a high school English teacher. I've always been the young, relatable teacher, the one who gets the memes, knows the TikTok slang, and lets the kids vent about their lives during study hall. I didn't have teachers like that growing up, and I always swore I'd be different. I wanted my students to feel like they had at least one adult who understood them. This year I teach mostly seniors, 17 to 18 years old, and we've gotten close as a class. They jokingly call me Mr. Gen Z adjacent because I'm always trying and failing to keep up with their trends. It felt harmless at first. A few weeks ago, a group of my students started joking about throwing a legendary party before graduation. They wanted it to be off campus so it wouldn't get shut down by admin. One day during lunch, they half-seriously asked me for advice. I laughed and said something like, "You didn't hear this from me, but if I were 18, I'd," and rattled off ideas for renting a cabin, telling their parents it was a steady retreat, and hiding snacks and drinks in gym bags. It felt like a bonding moment. They were thrilled. A few days later, I overheard them saying, "Mr. G is so chill. He even said he'd help us stock up if we needed." I told them not to put words in my mouth, but I didn't shut it down completely. Fast forward, the party happened last weekend. I wasn't there, obviously. But Monday morning, the principal called me in. One of my students, Evan, OD'd at the party and died on the way to the hospital. Another kid is in critical condition. Someone brought pills that turned out to be laced, and the whole thing spiraled. I feel sick. The school launched an investigation, and some students mentioned I helped them plan it. I didn't buy the alcohol or drugs, I didn't tell them to bring anything illegal, and I absolutely didn't encourage drug use. But I also didn't discourage the party. I played along. I gave them tips on how not to get caught. I thought I was just being the cool teacher. Now Evan's parents are threatening to sue the school, and my job is hanging by a thread. A few colleagues say I crossed a huge boundary by even entertaining their plans. But others, mostly the younger teachers, say I'm being unfairly scapegoated for a tragedy that wasn't my fault. I can't stop thinking that if I'd shut it down earlier or warned admin, maybe Evan would still be alive. Maybe they would have found another way to party, but at least I wouldn't have blood on my hands.